All right. Hello, my podcast people. This is estate planning and asset protection attorney, Leslie Marenco, bringing you another episode of Having Fun with Death and Taxes.
I'm already shaking my head, and I haven't even been introduced yet.
And today, we have a repeat guest, because they can't stop coming back for more fun.
That's right.
Isn't that the case, Wilson?
I think so.
We have Wilson, our esteemed corporate and business attorney. Wilson, please introduce yourself.
So I'm also known as Kristina. Kristina Wilson. Yeah,
No.
I am the owner of KEW Legal, and we do corporate real estate deals, general counsel services for entrepreneurs. But yeah, just all sorts of complex commercial transactions and contracts of all shapes and sizes.
Yep.
And apparently
And that is why
quite entertaining as well. So
I knew when I started to research this shit show of a family business dynamic with estate planning kind of themes and issues thrown in, I immediately said, I got to get Wilson back on the podcast, because who else deals with the gazillion-dollar family businesses and all of the personal dynamics
and shit shows.
Let's dive in. This is the story of, and I was going to say the U-Haul family. It is not the U-Haul family. It is the family that started U-Haul, which is the Shoen family. I hope I am not totally massacring that name.
We'll just call them the U-Haulers.
The U-Hauls, the U-Haulers. And this has all the classic corporate planning issues, estate planning issues. It's just like the volume has been way turned up in this case. I mean, we're going to give you a little bit of everything here, guys. There's going to be litigation amongst siblings. There's going to be like a coup, a corporate hostile takeover.
I feel like Andy Cohen should be like the host of the family dynamics. He should just be there ad-libbing in the background.
Like there's even Bryce Waterhouse going, isn't this the shit that Enron did? Like, we can't do this, guys. We can't do this. Like, I mean, there's a little bit of everything here. So let's start with the patriarch of this family. We're going to call him Len. His real name is Leonard Samuel. And a lot of people actually called him Sam. Actually, there was a lot of like articles that's like Sam the trailer man and blah, 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 blah. But we're just going to call him Len. And so he married his first wife. I mean, Len is a lover, not a fighter. He found love many times during his life, Wilson. Unlike some people, I'll speak for myself, which I find it very hard to find love in the city. Len found love everywhere he looked. Okay, so he was married many, many times. Apparently,
he had the swagger.
6 times. Twice to the same woman. So that's an interesting dynamic.
She came back for more.
They came back for more. I've been told if the meal ain't good enough to finish the first time, you shouldn't pick at the scraps. But Len doesn't believe in that. Len was like, fuck it. I'm lonely. I love you. Let's try it again.
Rinse and repeat.
But we're going to start at the beginning when Len married his first wife. Right out of the military. And they needed to move back to, I believe, Portland. They were in California. And he was having a really hard time finding a trailer to rent to move all of their shit back to Portland. And ding, the light bulb went off. He's like, this is what we're doing. Why has nobody started this business? Thinking about 1945, I mean, this is right after the war. This is kind of like the Eisenhower, the roadway. You know, the federal government is spending $1 gazillion making interstate
People are coming
highways.
back. People are moving and shaking.
People are moving. The boomers gotta boom. You know, whatever.
The boomers gotta boom.
I mean, that's like what that's what the little tickety talk kids say. The boomers gotta boom. Like that's not millennials. We're millennials. What the fuck did
I'm not a millennial. Well, I'm technically a Gen Xer, but regardless,
well,
doesn't matter.
I'm barely
boomers gotta boom.
The boomers gotta boom, says the new generation. You know, and so they decide this is a brilliant business. If you could rent something and literally not have to drive it back, right? We're just renting it to one place, and there needs to be enough whatever in place to like leave it there. And they come up with this idea. They actually name it. You know, the company lore says that they actually named the company U-Haul as they were driving to Portland. I mean, who knows if that's a good origin story, right?
I like it.
We don't know.
We're running with it.
But so Leonard and Anna Mary, which is kind of weird instead of Anne Mary, but whatever. Anna Mary. They start this company together, and then they proceed to have Because, there was no TV back
A
then.
lot of kids.
And we will put this up in a
lot of
slide.
diapers.
Sam, Michael, Joe, Mark, Mary, and Cecilia. And they're the original 6. I want you to think of these kids as like the original 6 siblings that end up with a lot of the company, most of the drama, and end up really kind of, trying to get dad back in his place. Let's just put it that way.
The shit into
But
the
then
stick.
something happens that
happens.
changes the destiny of this family forever, which is mom dies. Like mom dies at 34 when all the kids are still young. They're all under the age of 13. Oof. And the kids actually inherit her 50%, which I thought was interesting. I wasn't going to go off on that tangent of why the kids inherited directly, like her 50% of the estate instead of him getting something or him getting all of it. Because there's so many fucking
did
issues.
Did he have a will?
That is a great question. That there are so many other shit shows happening here that I was like, this is a pointless exercise to go researching why these kids are inheriting 50% of this company. But a guardianship was opened.
But maybe that's why. Maybe they had a will, and maybe they both said, mom said,
and they disinherited each other.
My kids are getting all my shit.
Fuck
you don't
Leonard.
need my shit.
Fuck you, Leonard.
Yeah.
Like, I'm leaving this directly
Something about
to the kids.
sturpies or sturpies.
Maybe. That's maybe the case. Something about that.
Something about sturpies.
And so the kids did inherit, at least the 6 of them split her 50%. Right? So that's how some of the company starts getting, into different owners.
Interesting.
Here. Now, of course, because men cannot be alone.
That's right.
We know this.
Sorry, boys.
Sorry, boys. In the estate planning world, we know this. All of you, after a divorce or a death, y'all are very codependent. I don't care what anybody says. You all marry
Leslie
again.
at trustcounsel.com.
Leslie at trustcounsel.com says the data doesn't lie, and I'm a data-aholic, right? And there's great stats for this. So you codependent men, maybe they just need someone to take care of them. Maybe they need a free house cleaner. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. But men do not stay single for long. They attach themselves to
They're
anything.
hot commodities.
I don't think that's the reason. I don't.
You're just asking to get trolled here. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you already.
Come at me. Please put it in the comments. So he immediately marries Suzanne.
Okay.
And
found love again.
He found love. He finds love a lot, but he marries Suzanne, and he ships off his 2 oldest children. Probably a lot of bickering, probably a lot of bullshit happening. And Sam and Mike are 12 and 10. I believe all these people are still alive, so I guess if they would like to come at me, you could correct me in the comments also. But they get shipped to boarding school right after the wedding is what was reported.
Sorry, boys.
The next 2 boys actually stay. So Joe and Mark actually stay behind in Oregon with the new family, and they actually apparently create kind of a bond with the 5 children or whatever. That now, because Leonard is also a very fertile man. He's gonna have a gazillion kids. And so, Jesus, we're up to 11. And these 11, because now we have Teresa, James, Katrina, Paul, and Len Jr.
This sounds like a hurricane season in South Florida.
This is
it's all the named storms of one season.
Yes.
All of them. It's coming.
Now, these 11 really make up most of what we're going to talk about, because even though Len remarried multiple times more, his younger children, 2 of them, really don't seem to be named in any court pleadings, any litigation, so they were kind of like, we don't want to get involved in this.
No drama llama.
This fucking shit show that's happening up here. We're good.
We're good.
So
Good to
really,
go.
the story today involves the first 11 kids.
Out of how many kids?
Out of an alleged 14.
Alleged
Because there's 13 for real, and then there was one other
That's a question mark.
Apparently he married some lady for one day just to make that kid legitimate.
Wow.
And then
What?
I was like, what kind of
does
Britney
that?
Spears shit is that? He's a man with values. He doesn't want bastard children. So he literally marries this woman and then
the boomers.
makes that child. I guess he married her the day before she popped him out. I don't know. But,
They have ethics.
and so there's just, but those kids, I don't know. I think they saw what's
Married
going
for
on.
one day. Really?
Yeah, he married her
What?
for, I think, the day before she had the kids. So they were legally married.
You know what? You should have had a family lawyer on this episode.
I mean,
I don't know what I can offer to that one.
There's nothing to say there.
Jeez.
There's nothing to say there because those last kids do not get involved in what is going to be this very acrimonious.
This is like keeping up with the Kardashians before that existed, right? Or
Yeah,
maybe it's
imagine. How many
maybe more-
Kardashians are there?
I don't know. There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. So, but they don't all hate each other.
No, they don't hate each other.
They love each
There's
other.
just a lot of drama.
Oh, okay. Well,
a lot of
not
interesting
between them,
facts.
I guess. So yeah, I don't know much about the Kardashians. Other
Me
than I
either.
heard Kim is going to be a lawyer.
In California, she is.
California?
She
I
is.
was like, wow.
Props to Kim Kardashian.
Good for you, girl. Good for you. This is just trash. Don't do it. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah, it's a tough profession.
This is very tough.
It's a lot of
profession.
easier with. Well, she knows.
She knows.
She's a Kardashian.
She knows how to make money.
Daddy was a lawyer. Daddy was a lawyer. She knows better.
So
And I think she's doing fine.
I'm going to break this down, I think, as we go through this story in like timeline fashion, really, because there's just so much going on that doing this any other way just gets so convoluted that we're just going to go in a timeline. Okay, guys? Like that's what
Break
we're
it
gonna
down
do.
for the- break it down for the
all
home
gets
viewers.
going. They really seems to be doing well. Poor Sam, Leonard, is on the road, opening up shop everywhere that he can. He's really doing a great job, just like the true entrepreneurial, like hustle in
Hustle,
the
market,
beginning.
sell. Let's
Hustle,
go.
market, sell all day, every day. And by the time we get to 1969, so we're talking about 20 years in, right? Like, I mean, you think this is like one of these stories that like, yay, success. No, bro, this shit takes a while. So 20 years in, we actually have the first holding company, which is Marenco, and it's incorporated in Nevada. But then in the 1970s, what happens? The oil crisis strikes and U-Haul runs off oil, right? So like now we have a lot more issues with the business, not as profitable as it all happens, right? The normal life cycle of a business, there's ups and downs, shit happens in the economy that you got to pivot or die, right? Like, I mean,
It keeps us coming back for more.
it's what keeps us, man. I mean, are we saying that as entrepreneurs or are we saying that as their lawyers?
Masochists.
Yes, I think we're saying that as like first
Both.
party entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
Like this shit's rough. You got to
And
continue.
also as a lawyer, that brings me clients.
Sure.
Chaos brings me clients.
Chaos does cause opportunities,
Yeah.
both good and bad, and that's where you see like Leonard's the first one that's going to join Joe. So remember, Joe is part of wife number one. Anna marries like litter. I don't even like the litter. That's part of that litter. First wife.
It's a six-pack.
And he went and got a Harvard MBA. Says, okay, it's time to join my dad's business. And dad also wants his other sons to join the business. And that's where we have Sam and Michael. And he kind of bullies them into quitting their jobs, it seems, because Sam was a doctor and Michael was a lawyer. And dad is like, y'all got to come join the family business too. Like this is not, you don't get to go do whatever you want to do. And the next year they open another company for U-Haul moving centers. This is just common entrepreneurial shit. What else can we open that services the current business? There's also some talk.
I've been a customer.
Yeah.
Boxes, bubble wrap.
Oh,
It's good
really? You
stuff.
know what this is?
Scotch tape.
Okay. All
It's
right.
good stuff.
Excellent.
Not scotch tape. Moving
Excellent.
tape, packing tape.
This wasn't something I thought we would talk about here, but they also opened very, very kind of, we know someone that does this a lot, other servicing businesses for this business. They actually opened a insurance and whatever to only be the insurer, I think initially, for all of the employees. So he's like, why are we paying all this money in benefits and insurance? Let's open our own insurance company. So you can already see how Leonard's evolving, right?
Leonard's
branching out.
got a brain on him.
He does,
he's a baller.
right? He does,
Good for him.
although you would think, for the brains that he had here, he didn't have a lot of structuring. Maybe he had terrible lawyers. I don't really know. But anyway, so Doc Sam, even though he has an MBA and is in the business, everybody still called him Dr. Sam, largely was on dad's side. Okay, so when you think of the factions that are going to split off in this freaking saga, Dr. Sam and dad were always like this, and was what we thought of as dad's choice of successor. Joe, on the other hand, was on his, had his own thoughts, and he's, Mr. Harvard MBA too, and he just doesn't believe that all of these spin-off companies are really, they're doing more harm than not, is what he believes. Like, we need to, because remember, in the 70s, back to the oil crisis, we're now bleeding money, not as profitable. right? So Joe
Take
is
your word
like,
for it. I was not alive.
yeah, no, we were not. We were not. What years was Carter years? Like what year was it? Like,
I guess
oil
that's late
crisis?
70s.
Was that
He was a president when I was born, so I'll give him
okay?
like
We should
late
know
70s.
more American history here.
late
But-
70s.
So, well,
Oil crisis.
oil crisis, not so profitable. Joe isn't happy. Joe is like, Dad, if you weren't doing all this other bullshit, all these other businesses and kind of like diluting whatever, we need to get back
would
to
be
like our core
back
business.
to- exactly.
There's some
Back to
talk
the-
about how Ryder, who started, which is the biggest competitor apparently of U-Haul,
Based in
started in
Miami.
Miami. Yeah, I didn't know
It
this.
is.
And,
It's right off the
they were gaining traction.
I-95 in between Miami and Fort Lauderdale.
And they were gaining traction. And so Joe is also
It's right above the strip club.
No, wow. Wow. Fun fact.
You're welcome.
Which strip club?
The big one, the one that's off 95. Was it Cheetah? I don't know.
She's like, now she's trying to pretend. I don't know. I've said too
I don't
much.
go to strip clubs.
I've said too much.
I've seen it sitting in traffic.
Yeah.
I'm going with.
Excellent. Excellent. And so, Joe just wanted U-Haul to get back to the basics, renting trucks, renting trailers, and also didn't like working for his big brother, Sam, because Sam is the oldest in the family, right? Joe is number 3 here. Sam is the oldest. So we got some dynamics going on there.
It's always the middle kid.
So,
I don't know.
She's right. She's right. He's like dead center in the middle
Says
of
someone that only has one sibling.
Yes, yes. Wow. Well, I'm the oldest of not just my whatever, but like of a bunch of cousins. So I kind of understand maybe where Sam's coming from. Not sure, but we are more aligned with our parents, I think, than the oldest of the family. Maybe. I don't know. Those are dynamics for like a psychologist, not for this podcast. So apparently, right around the same time too, financial problems, they say bring divorce, right? So, Len divorces Suzanne in 77. Those two start whatever, and apparently falls into depression. And needs to be
Heartbreaker.
hospitalized.
Oh,
He's
shit.
sad. He has
No
a
bueno.
broken heart.
It's no bueno.
And imagine the kind of infighting that's going to happen when Dad's kind of checked out now, right?
Yeah, let's get that.
You have the Journal, because this company now is big enough that the Wall Street Journal is reporting on it, and is saying that Michael, that's number 2, is complaining about harassment from middle child Joe. Now we're just going to call him middle child Joe. And Sam is being accused as being totally incompetent by middle child Joe, who is now joined up with Mark, who is the second middle child. So the middle children have definitely joined up and are starting to bully oldest child now that Dad is not around to like keep them from bickering. Right, so in the middle of staff meetings, there's all this reporting about, these two undermining that one and blah, blah, blah. And when Dad comes back, Dad says, you know what we need? We need a counselor. We need a family therapist.
You think?
Is what we need.
You think when you got a dozen kids and like going through depression, that's the
I
time
think
for the...
maybe their corporate lawyer said, y'all need to seek
Y'all need some therapy.
Because I'm not your therapist. Like, I feel like that's
I don't
something
know. That
you
was the
would've said.
70s. That was kind of like, there's no such thing as a participation trophy. You just suck it
that's
up and get to work, right?
Like, shut up and get to it. That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. But the therapist wrote a report that somehow the news got a hold of that said that Joe and Mark, middle children, have matured, and I quote, have matured into adults who are very comfortable with power and are absolutely willing to fight for it. Wow. And that Len should really, that recommendation in this report, should be that he needs to be more decisive when dealing with his children. So it sounds like Len is
There's a good
punking
quote
out.
in there. So about making decisions. If you're an entrepreneur, sidetracking.
Yes.
It's about flat squirrels in a road. Got to make a decision.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You will get flattened.
Yeah. So
Squirrels need to run
that's
fast
right. You
across
got to
the
go,
road.
man. You got to make a quick decision. Otherwise, you're going to be a flat squirrel.
You're
going to
be a flat squirrel. Like, this is not legal nor business advice. Do not rely on anything we say on this podcast.
There we go. Disclaimer.
Disclaimer. Please see episode
However,
0.
make quick decisions.
However, you will get flattened.
Otherwise,
you'll
no
be a
bueno.
flattened squirrel.
Again.
And so,
Where did you put my drink?
not what?
This is not Kool-Aid.
This is not Kool-Aid. Remember, the hardest job I've ever had was bartending. I clearly have forgotten to bartend because this Negroni not so good.
I think I've been roofied.
Wow. So the therapist, puts out this report and says what maybe should happen. And it did not really, from everything that's been reported, it did not really help reconcile these two factions that were really starting to split off. Although Dad did make one decisive move, and this was recorded in 1979 in the corporate books, that he rearranged titles and made Sam president and CEO of Marenco, which became the holding company of U-Haul.
Fair.
And Dad remained chairman. And this is what ended up happening, ended up precipitating really Joe and Mark saying, fuck this, I'm not working for my brother, and they quit and started their own business. They opened a paint shop and they opened other businesses, and actually U-Haul became their biggest client at the time.
Sure.
So they opened up, side
Daddy
businesses.
wants peace.
And Daddy wants peace. But apparently in their minds, Dad continues making stupid business decisions. He begins casting new revenue streams, and he sets up all sorts of other things like motorhomes, something about jet skis, and I guess trailers to pull jet skis, and party supplies.
Cool.
He also deals with dance floor, awnings, and I don't know what the hell
all
Dad's
the same
doing.
realm. I got his
I don't know what Dad's doing here.
It's
I mean,
shit you have to haul.
shit, but what about the awnings and punch bowls?
You have to haul that shit too. It's
to the party?
a big punch bowl.
I mean, you gotta haul
If
it
you're
to
making the
party.
drink, you need a
shit.
you need a big
we know
punch
that
bowl.
now.
Yeah, but it makes sense. It's in the world.
So the kids start thinking, man, Dad's really losing focus. It's only been a couple of years since the divorce. Maybe Dad's
Which
not all
divorce?
there.
Is that the day marriage, or is that after? That's the second marriage.
Second
Okay.
marriage.
All right.
And so, the net profits keep going down. The debt ballooned to $600 million. That's a lot of money,
not chump
guys.
change.
That's a lot of money. And in November, and so it's been recorded that in November 1986, that's when Mark and Joe, because unbeknownst to us, Mark and Joe have been in the background this whole time. Scheming and trying to maneuver how they're going to get back in the company. The plot thickens, right? And this whole time, now as Dad is making these decisions that don't seem to be the best ones, right? When Dad was making decisions and we're making a lot of money, we all thought Dad was brilliant. But now that we're not making a lot of money, maybe Dad's got to go. And they finally get Katrina on board with them. Now,
Hurricane
what's interesting
Katrina
about
is coming
this
in the mix.
is that Katrina is part of second wife's kids,
Yeah.
right? So don't think, guys.
But she's also a middle child.
She is a middle child. You're bringing up really interesting points, Wilson. I kind of did not.
I didn't think of this. Like I said, I don't have a middle sibling.
They really did. The middle children abandoned fucking together, and so they.
But
get
they're
Katrina.
very well educated, so.
Yeah,
Joe
no,
and
they're
Mark.
all Harvard and whatever,
Yeah.
lawyers and doctors and MBAs and shit. So
Got it.
Yes. So Katrina comes over and she is the key vote because Joe then launches a whole fucking coup, to take over when Dad's not looking. I don't know what the hell's Dad. Dad's probably trying to get a new wife. Clearly it's been a couple of years.
Dad is out booming.
Dad
He's booming.
needs love, guys. Dad needs love. And so they force Len out. Can you believe this? They get Dad out of the company. So
Not a good idea, guys.
Len
Karma's
conceded.
a bitch.
Oh wow. Len
do this.
conceded being chairman
He's
under
going
one
south
condition,
already. Go on.
which is that Doc Sam is going to stay on as CEO, right?
Okay.
So he's like, fine, guys, I'll step away, but you got to have my oldest and the son that I know is on
one
my
I
side,
trust and
the one I
whatever.
trust to
He
be
probably trusts them
CEO.
because he's got high expectations. He's got.
He
High
should not be
hopes.
trusted nobody but that one right
That's
now.
right.
I don't know.
I think I said this the last time I was here. Do not go into family with your
Do not.
kids, your family, or your friends. Don't do it. Don't do it.
You can
Saying
roll the
it
clip.
again.
You can roll the side to side
like,
clip of
ooh.
Wilson don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
No. Saying it
And-
again.
And it seems like Len also said, we already had a therapist, but maybe we need a mediator. So the mediator helped come in, deal with the personalities and set up this lovely structure. The two factions agreed on the structure that Sam would be president and CEO, and Joe would take on being chairman of the board. So there was a 4-member board, those two, and then brothers Paul and Jim. Where the hell is Paul and Jim now?
What marriage is that?
Oh, look, Paul. And we don't know who the hell is Jim. Jim is part of like another whatever. But here's Paul, also middle child. To Kristina's point, also middle child. That's why.
Got something to prove.
Oh, Jim is here.
They got something to
There's
prove.
Jim. James is a middle child. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. Yeah. So there's Jay. Yeah, they're all not oldest or youngest. They're all.
The youngest got nothing to worry about. They're going to inherit something.
The youngest are like,
they're
all
playing
y'all
soccer.
just get me my money, bro.
Yeah,
like, I don't know what
video
to tell
games,
y'all.
whatever they did
There's
in the
no
70s.
ego wrapped up in this.
Yeah.
I just want to live a good life, baby. And so
Maybe
that's
not.
who's on the board.
Let's see how it continues.
Let's see how it ends. Wilson's like, don't even. We don't know how this ends.
This is a telenovela, West Coast style.
But the problem was that Joe was able to get all these people on his side.
Yeah.
Because, oh man, yeah, they sided with Joe. Both Paul and Jim initially sided with Joe. Initially, because we're going to see some people fucking defect. Because that's what happens, you know?
Double agents.
That's just what happens. But things, obviously, you can imagine how this was going to go. As soon as Len kind of has no power because he's stepped down, what happens? Sam is, and I quote, sick of all the backstabbing, tension, and 12-hour board meetings, and decided that he will quit. In 1987.
Bye, Felicia.
He is gone. He is like, peace.
He's going to sell coconuts.
But of course, it doesn't end there. It continues, the infighting continues, and it erodes both Joe and Mark's position. And that is when Katrina, who was the deciding vote before, she defects. She defects over to Sam's side, goes, Daddy, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Fuck those guys. My brother's an asshole, you know, and I love you again, and I can't take this anymore. And defects back to, so it was literally at some point, they were coined the inside group, like the block of Joe and Mark, etc. And the outside group, which it was kind of inside and outside, even though Dad is in the outside. It's because Joe really took over the management of this entire company, right? So the outside group was Dad plus Sam, Michael, and then eventually, you know, Katrina was like, you know, fuck these guys, and went over to that side too. And so they start scheming, right? Like the scheming's got to start again. And they start realizing, wait a minute, how are we, like, the profits are down, we're still not happy, Joe's apparently a sociopath, and now what do we do? So allegedly, Joe, if you're listening to this, please come on the podcast to clarify that you are not a sociopath. Doesn't matter what the therapist says and what the mediator says. Like, Joe's probably like 90 or something. How old is Joe? Joe had to be born in the 50s.
He's got to be up there.
Oh, he's like my dad. Joe is like 70.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe's the age of my father. He was probably not amused.
Probably not.
So, you know, all these other people, they start plotting against Joe. They start negotiating with investment bankers. They start trying to find out, can we do a leveraged buyout? You know, they reach out to Bear Stearns.
Let's go.
To explore options. I don't know about them. You know, well, you know, this was in the
not
1988, babe. 1988.
Okay, we're fine.
We're still okay.
We're still good.
Okay, right? And so, but you can imagine when Joe finds out that this is happening, right? Joe is like, you motherfuckers, like, oh, this is not going to become, guys, as you can tell, a major dick measuring contest. That's what's going to happen here, obviously, right? So Joe goes in, gets the board to, you know, vote on some whatever. And what do you do when you want to do sketchy shit? You just get the board to create like another gazillion shares, right? Like, so he gets them because he's clearly mad. You know, he's like, they're trying to do a hostile takeover. Watch this, bitches. And he turns around and gets the board to issue literally 8,099 shares. Exactly. 8,099 shares. We're not even trying to pretend here, guys. And he then sells those shares to executives that are loyal to him that then get coined as the Golden Five. Isn't that cute? Because they're on his side. And that tilts all voting power to Joe. So, you know, Joe's a smart guy, guys.
You know what?
Joe may be a sociopath.
I was going to say, he like laid that. He got that education at Harvard.
Oh, he got a good education at Harvard. Maybe he was watching like, no, what the hell are you watching? Nothing. That was all Harvard education.
The Social Network. So that came after.
What do Sam and Dad do? Because, you know, I mean, like, they're not going to take this line down, right? Dad is still like, probably like, turning over going, why the fuck did I give any of these assholes any of the shares of my company? Which we will talk about why that happened, because it was really a tax play. From everything I could see, there was a lot of gifting strategies for tax purposes, and the company was appreciating quickly, and it does make sense, right?
It does make sense.
But maybe you shouldn't do those things without putting it into certain trusts with certain restrictions, and we'll talk
vetting
about
your children.
Yeah. There are better ways
diligence.
to do this, guys. There are better ways to do this. I promise you that. And so, they get upset and they sue. That's what they do. They're like, what the fuck is this bullshit maneuvering? This is like a breach of fiduciary duty. This is totally not okay. You can't just issue 8,099 shares, exactly the amount of shares you need to pull this bullshit. Sell it to your best friends that are loyal to you, right? And then just take over and do whatever you want. So what does Joe do? Well, Joe, on behalf of Marenco, files what I would consider a derivative action. I did not pull the pleading. So, he, on behalf of the company, sues Sam, his sisters, and everybody else, saying they were financially damaging the company by giving away secret information when they were going to, fucking Bear Stearns and asking them for, how do we get some liquidity to buy this out and whatever. They must have disclosed certain information that they weren't supposed to disclose for Bear Stearns to even get to that point. And all the other investment advisors, right?
Fair.
So I believe that was a derivative action on behalf of the company. Whatever that means, we could argue that kind of bullshit all day. This is really something, this kind of litigation is like one of those litigations that just take over a whole office in my office of like charts and like stacks of discovery.
I was about to say boxes of discovery.
This is
papers everywhere.
This is going crazy, right?
Lots of trees are no longer with us.
So Marenco, not to say Joe himself, but obviously Joe is, driving that train, sues Sam, sues the sisters, definitely Katrina. Girl, you defected. We definitely got to sue you. You're disloyal, okay? Like, I'm sure Katrina is like... I'm sure Katrina's like bound by like confidentiality, can't say shit, whatever. But she gets sued. Everybody gets sued.
And everybody.
And you know what else Joe does? You know what else Joe does? Because during that whole negotiation, we got Dad to step down as chairman. They basically put him on a, lifetime employment agreement kind of thing, right? Okay. Like basically a pension. You go retire, Dad. You got to marriage your other 4 wives, right? Go find them, babe. But you know what Joe does now? He says, we're going to cancel that contract. We're not going to pay you no more, Dad, because you are also disloyal. I mean, Joe's a little ruthless.
Hell of a Thanksgiving dinner.
Joe is a little ruthless. No, oh my God. Well, I'm so glad you put into that, because then while all this litigation is happening, right, everybody sues everybody in this case, all of a sudden, Sam's wife is murdered. Murdered. Somebody comes into her house, her daughter, who was young, I don't know if she was a minor, finds her mom at the top of the stairs in their home in Colorado. And it was in a, they lived in a very beautiful, ski resorty type of area. So
Aspen.
It seemed very, odd that there's, a murderer walking around, whatever. Yeah. And, of course, what does Sam think? Well, Sam thinks, my brothers tried to have me killed, and instead of me being killed, my poor wife got killed, right? So Sam, I can't even imagine this. This is, I think, one of the reasons that this whole family, business and this whole thing became as well known, I guess, in pop culture. I think before this moment, unless you were really a corporate buff, you'd love to read about hostile takeovers, Bear Stearns is gonna whatever shares and liquidity and dilution of the, right? Unless you're that kind of nerd, unless you're a corporate lawyer or whatever, a big business buff, you would not be so interested in this family business dynamic. I think this is what put
until it became an Unsolved Mysteries episode.
Exactly. And that's
I'm dating myself to the 80s.
Precisely true. They go on Unsolved Mysteries.
No way.
Yes. And of course Sam.
Right on my avatar. Let's go. Do it.
Talk
to us.
Because Dad and Sam are convinced that Sam was the target and that it was a hit job orchestrated by Joe and Mark. Jesus. Joe and Mark are not going to take that kind of allegation sitting down. They're going to sue for defamation.
As they should.
And And then Sam goes on
If they
TV and
had
says,
nothing to do with it.
there's a $250,000 reward. This is 1990 money, okay? $250,000
show.
reward.
It was before Law and Order SVU, so that's a good one.
And says, like, that's all well and good, but he gets the TV show Unsolved Mysteries to feature this murder, right? And if you could believe it or not, the coverage leads to an arrest and a conviction. Like this guy named Frank Marquis.
I can't believe it. That was a good show.
Who is an
Very
ex-con.
effective.
Apparently like confessed and all of this, right? And so Joe and Mark are like, you see, we may be like, you know, really, really ruthless businessmen, but we didn't try to have you killed. Like, relax.
Or your wife.
Relax, you know? I definitely didn't want your wife killed. Yeah. But Sam doesn't buy it, by the way. Sam, to this day, or as far as I can find in the reporting, says, and I quote, I don't believe Marquise did it. And if he did, he didn't do it alone. He does not believe that Joe and Mark were not involved in any way. So what is Sam implying? This was murder, right?
Okay.
Like, and that Marquis just took one for the team. Marquis got out of jail.
Is the
in 2011.
the murderer.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, Mr.
Convicted
Frank
felon.
Marquis is the ex-con, and the idiot apparently confessed to his brother-in-law, and the brother-in-law, like, lo echó pa'lante, you know, called up Unsolved Mysteries and said, I got your guy.
Give me the
Do
reward.
I get a reward? Like, you know? So...
Daddy needs a new Porsche.
Daddy does need a new Porsche. And, you know, I mean, nowadays you could barely get the new Porsche with the 250. But back
80s,
then...
70s, big gas problems.
It's 1990 back.
Oh, 1990.
You know,
Yeah,
so that's still, you know.
He's got it. He's got it.
So, so there you go. That really put this whole family and their dynamic, and of course they're worth, you know, they actually topped $1 billion around that time. So it really put them in the spotlight, right? Like, what the hell is going on at U-Haul? And so fast forward, now we're in the 90s. I'm sure the bickering and the lawsuits and everything continue.
Just escalating.
This is just keeps escalating.
The tension is building.
And U-Haul's parent company, Marenco, right? Marenco, whatever. Sales finally top $1 billion. And for the first year is going to be, it goes public on the NASDAQ at $15.83 a share.
Because now it's time to go on the roadshow.
Because now,
after the
now we got to do
now that
this
we're famous.
now. But at the same time, okay, this is finally going to a jury. Like, when did we sue? When did these people all sued in the freaking 80s? And now is when it's going to a jury. That's crazy. In 1988.
It's good discovery work
is
there.
when they sued.
It's good delayed tactics.
And in 1994, 6 years, guys. It took 6 years to get to trial.
Wow.
Okay,
It's
and
rough.
and so a jury actually rules that the board, you know, obviously did all of these things wrong. And by the board, I mean it's Joe, right? Like Joe, bad Joe, and you owe Sam and the other plaintiffs a lot of money. So in 94, they said by issuing these new shares, the board of directors breached their fiduciary duty. They prevented the plaintiffs from gaining any control. Like, they were totally, you know, they were not following any type of corporate governance. They did whatever the fuck they wanted, right? And that they got to pay, $1.5 billion. And Joe himself was supposed to pay $70 million in punitive damages.
Show me the money.
Wait. This is... Yeah. Right? And so that is a lot of money. And even though apparently on appeal or something, there was a motion for reconsideration, some type of reconsideration happened, they lowered that from 1.5 billion to 462 million. And Joe only had to pay a measly $7 million. Okay?
Pocket change.
But the judge said, you got to cough it up now in cash, bro. In cash. I don't know what's the point of the cash part, but maybe it's like no payment plan, you asshole. This has got to hurt somewhat. Like, come on.
I'm sure he paid him pennies.
Yeah, like
just bags of pennies.
He just on a U-Haul.
On a U-Haul. Like this, I need 47,000 U-Hauls delivered to my facility, please, to pick up the bags of pennies. Rest in peace, Penny.
So what was interesting about this is because of like the nature of like this lawsuit, and I think how it was filed and how like the derivative action where the company was filing again. There's just so much here to like dissect that we would have to really get into the civil litigation part of it. But the important part is that 5 of those board members were held, including Joe, of course, were held personally liable for all of this, right?
Yeah.
But there were certain of them, like Paul, which is the youngest brother. Where is Paul in this freaking shit show. So Paul is Suzanne's kid, second to last. So he's kid number 10. He had not joined the board while all of this was going on. He came later. So he was not personally liable, right? So what made that interesting was now, like, certain people owe certain money, and the company itself owes Sam and Dad and probably Katrina, like the sisters, money, right? Yeah. So now this is a huge judgment against not only the company, but the board members themselves. And this is now a publicly traded company. It goes on your debt statement, guys, right? Like, this is now
sell,
big problem.
sell.
Right. So imagine, so now we got, I mean, this is crazy, right? Because, you know, Amico had previously, or Americo, whatever, had indemnified the directors, which of course I'm sure was some play from before, and its assets were being used for collateral in other loans, right? So now they got this massive judgment against them and this massive debt, and they're forced to sell millions of dollars of assets. So in comes Mark, because the plot thickens. Mark is Joe's BFF. Let's not forget he's the other middle child that's always sided with Joe for decades, right? And Mark, who is definitely like this with Joe, but he joined the board after the coup, so he's not liable, right? He's there opening up separate companies that are buying the sell in the fire sale, right? And he's going, bump it up. Like, I'm gonna benefit highly from this shit show. So, and let's be real, allegedly, I'm gonna say allegedly before all of this now.
That should be stamped across like this whole episode.
Yes, like, this is just like, it's just gonna roll across. Like, it's just going to be like rolling
allegedly.
We're not going to pretend that Joe didn't call Mark, or Mark didn't already absolutely know what's going on here, and say, allegedly. No, allegedly.
Jesus.
Go open 16 layers of some trusted, I don't know, right? I haven't looked this up. This is not easy to find.
Was it Mark?
So Mark
was
buying
crafty.
Up the assets.
He's crafty.
Very intelligent man.
Crafty man.
Very intelligent man, because as Joe has this personal debt liability against him, and Americo has to, like, whatever, right? Mark is now buying up the assets. Buying up the assets real cheap, baby. Real cheap. And he also, like, there's just so much to that I'm like, oh, man, we could just... So between 1994 and 2002, Americo sold 230 self-storage properties for only $600 million in cash to this special purpose entity, SAC Holdings, of which, lo and behold, it's like Mark was the main owner
was there.
of, you know,
wow.
Like, which no one is surprised. Like, no one is surprised. You know, so even today, but what's interesting too is like, I mean, he was collecting fees against the main company for managing these properties. Like, there's a whole fucking arroco mango here. There's a whole structure that was very, very profitable for Mark, right? And today being, as of when I pulled this, which was in like early 2000s, so maybe things have changed in the last 20 years, but he owned more than 400 self-storage properties that he still manages. Those assets were estimated at $3.3 billion. That is what he got in this fire sale, which is more than double of the value of his 19.5% stake in U-Haul itself. The assets that he was able to
buy one, get one free.
Funnel, should we say that? Allegedly, funnel out of main company into his special company, right? So, I mean, Dad clearly is not having a good time with any of this. This is like fucking backstabbing to the nth degree. Everybody, and maybe committing SEC violation, allegedly, I don't know. I am not a securities attorney, nor pretend to be one on TV.
No stocking stuffers for you at Christmas time.
like this is crazy. And Dad is not doing well. Yeah. You know, his spirit is maybe broken.
It's stressing
I don't
him
know.
out.
Dad has told Forbes in the early 90s that Joe is a sociopath and mentally ill.
Wow.
Joe said that Dad is manic depressive, and you know, Joe may not be wrong, because Dad actually killed himself a few years later. So poor Dad, this didn't end well for Dad. But Dad Dad's got 14 kids. Yeah. Yeah, actually, you found out how did he commit suicide?
Yeah, well, unfortunately,
What did they say?
1999, he committed suicide by driving his car into a telephone pole.
There you go. That's pretty dramatic,
So,
guys. That's pretty dramatic.
He was not a happy camper.
Not happy. Not happy. I'm sure all of this infighting amongst his kids and well, I mean, or he could have just been heartbroken by like wife number 6. We don't know. We don't know. Like, but Dad said, I've lived enough of this lifetime. I'm going to try my fate in the next lifetime. I heard that these Hindus think that it's going to be better on the other side. Maybe he converted to Buddhism.
Wow.
I don't know. We just spent a lot of time in Asia.
So
I'm getting all my
you're getting your religions all mixed up right now.
All mixed up.
Completely different.
But like
Leslie at Trust Counsel.
Dad has moved on. And so
3.
But in 2002, which I want you guys to pay attention to the year, right? Like 2002, this is after the dot-com bubble. This is when one of the partners in the firm, the great honorable Manuel Rodriguez, curator, PR, trustee, actually was working at, not Pricewaterhouse. He was working at, was it Deloitte? Jesus, I'm having a senior moment.
Oh boy.
No, Arthur Anderson. I'm sorry.
Oh.
He was working on, which obviously Enron
May it also
ended that
rest in
career. Right? Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, but Manny was actually still there. He was going to enter law school around that same time, but was still working during that Enron time as a CPA, as he had been working for many years. So at this time, is when people start questioning in the wake of Enron whether this whole thing maybe goes beyond just I don't know, like this litigation or whatever. They actually, their auditor, which is Pricewaterhouse, and been their auditor for a long time, and all of a sudden now everybody's on high alert, right? Because everything else is falling apart, and everybody's very upset that these auditors had not been really doing their jobs, which is why all this, telecom this and Enron that, and like shit's falling apart, guys. Shit is falling apart in 2002. So Pricewaterhouse gets very serious and says, "You guys, this is bullshit. You need to redo your whole financials. We need to consolidate." The SEC holding company, SAC holding company, not to be confused with the SEC, the holding company, and put it back on your financial statements all the way back to 1995. When that happens, the debt goes up to $900 million. Oof. And they default on a $100 million loan.
Yeah.
And Paul's been kind of quiet for a while now. Paul's over here.
Number 10.
Paul's number 10.
Yes.
Paul's child number 10. And the youngest, that's not true. He's not the youngest. Second youngest.
Leonard Jr.
Of whatever. And he sues SAC Holdings, alleging that obviously Joe, Mark, and all of these guys binged on the assets in the fire sale and used the same financial instrument that Enron used to defraud all of those board members and all of their investors and all of everything else. So what the fuck is this, right? So everybody's upset, but you know what? We're going to end this nonsense now. We filed bankruptcy. They're like, you know what? We're done with this. There's 6 years of litigation. We're going to file bankruptcy and we're going to file a Chapter 11 and we're going to come off the other end better for it because enough is enough. Like enough is enough.
Stop the bleeding.
We obviously probably allegedly did do those things. So rid of these claims now. Let's just stop this now. Right? And so
someone had a free consult.
I mean, this This obviously, guys, I don't even know how long we've been doing this podcast right now, but like we're probably an hour in. So we're going to stop the timeline drama at this point because we probably need to start discussing some of the family dynamics, how things could have been done better, maybe some advice, both even like maybe even less on the legal side and more on the psychological side. I don't know. Right. But like this does continue. Obviously, we're in year 2025. That shit was 2003. So, but we're going to end the story there for the purposes of having fun with death and taxes today, right? So this is like, man, this is like the I don't know, family business gone wrong in every way, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
This is just kind of crazy. And a few things that immediately come to mind with this story is like, when you are dad, when you are top level, when you are initial owners, when you are dad or mom or whatever it is, and you're going to start gifting, you're going to start, whether it's for tax strategy, whether, you do want the kids involved and you want them to have ownership, whatever it is, you need to put guardrails in place. Like, you can't just be giving out stock like this is candy. Like, there's no repercussions to that. There's a huge dynamic here of like, what do the corporate governance documents say about now people own things, but should they be able to manage things? And there's, we want very delineated, I think, at least I do, lines in the sand about those, ownership is one thing, management is another, and what do those look like? And you know this better than anyone.
And the problem is, like, look, this is one of those things. It just boils down to the fundamental documents, right? The fundamental corporate documents, your operating agreement.
Shareholder agreement, God help us. Like,
please,
the bylaw,
for the love of God,
Jesus.
please stop downloading that shit off ChatGPT or Google and Frankensteining your documents together, because this is a clear example of when you really need to pull that document. You want it to be clear, and you want it to be, I don't know, you don't want to have to interpret, right? You want it to be very clear, clean, ready to go. And it's like a prenup. It's a business prenup. But before shit hits the fan, you've got this document that everybody's agreeing to. These are the roles that we're all playing. This is how we're going to run our company. Whether we make $1 billion or we make $2, it doesn't freaking matter. But everybody's got their place, and everybody knows what the expectations are. And it just but again, if you're Frankensteining together documents to save $2,000 for an operating agreement, it's really not a good idea. Down here, in Miami especially, it's a very entrepreneurial town. You got a lot of companies, a lot of entrepreneurs are scaling their businesses. They go from, I hired my buddy out of high school and he's been with me for blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden they blow up and they've got 200 employees and it's a completely different world.
My office manager.
Yeah, it's like, look, you really have to be careful about what you're doing. And especially as you start scaling and getting bigger, if the family's getting bigger and there are more players in there, this is completely avoidable. That's the nutshell of this. It's completely avoidable. Take your business seriously. Make sure you draft your documents properly. Have an estate plan. When you start shitting out kids, great, good on you. But let's make sure everybody has their place and they know where their place is. Because when it gets all muddled like this, you've got, I don't even know, every freaking.
I think it's like beyond fascinating how
reality shows based off this case.
This company has done in spite of all of this, right?
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine going to get investors, going to get whatever, trying to partner with people like early on, right? Like, and all of this happening in the background, like the amount of bandwidth, emotional or otherwise, that was spent in all of this. I mean, bickering is not even, like, bickering is a ridiculous word for this, right? Like, this is like turmoil. This is intense. Like, it's amazing to me that U-Haul is still around, that it became what it became, that there's like, U-Haul International, it didn't crash and burn over and over again. Like, you have judgments against people on the board that are personally liable. You have judgments against, like,
it survived decades, like 40s, man.
Like,
we use it today.
Crazy.
I mean, it's like
I'm like,
years.
wow. I mean, whether, allegedly Joe is a sociopath or not, I guess somebody's got to give him credit. Because he's been, I guess, at the forefront of all of this while all of this has been, not that he's like the good guy here, guys. I'm not saying he's like a white hat or anything like that, but just that this thing has persisted and went public and like, I mean, and then filed bankruptcy.
He's very determined. He's
a very determined man. Joe, my God. You are a very, very
never give up.
Determined
never
man.
Give up.
But, taking this back to dad, right? Because I'm usually representing dad in these cases, in the sense that people come to us.
How could you avoid this?
People come to us, especially on the planning side, not, we will learn about the dynamics in the family and whatnot. And certainly the more I know, the better. Because as soon as dad passes away, imagine, these people were already going wild while dad was alive. They could give a fuck. But I think you see this more day to day.
Yeah.
By the time people come to me, I'm representing dad. I'm the one trying to figure out how are we going to structure this to gift shares or sell shares to the next generation. And my biggest concern, at least initially, is usually the tax consequences or the tax strategy, so that we can legally avoid paying as much as we can, right?
Yeah.
And what that structure is going to look like. Obviously, all of this shit show is going to put a huge dent in anything that I could do easily. This is going to have to now be like run scenarios and figure out voting rights and who has whatever, and that's going to have to be very clearly stated. And until Dad really
risk,
wants
right?
to,
with decisions.
huge risk.
Yeah.
But Dad needs to, and again, Dad's usually my client. Dad needs to maintain as much control as he wants to maintain. And that's usually the biggest concern that people have. I don't know. Len here was, I don't know, thinking that like shit is puppies and sunshine in Obamacare. Like he was fucking Pollyanna about this whole thing. Like, let's just give away shares of the company. And it's like, Oprah, you get shares and you get shares. And like everybody gets shares. And then Dad, you're fucking ousted. Like you're booted the fuck out, Dad. Like, and because clearly you instilled, you know, a real, I don't know, entrepreneurial spirit in your kids. You clearly taught them the definition of hard work, no doubt. Joe is no slacker, guys.
Cash cow.
Joe is no slacker,
yeah.
Right? But maybe we didn't quite get the family unity, the family, we didn't get the family love bug. We didn't learn respect for each other and each other's strengths and boundaries. We didn't learn, I'm not the therapist here, guys. Like, believe me, I'm referring you to somebody else that has a lot more emotional intelligence than I do.
Me too.
That's not my role. But it's amazing to me that you guys are making, I mean, this company is obviously spinning off all of your lifestyles. It is generational wealth for real, not what people listen to on the Tickety Talks, okay? Every other time I hear something about generational wealth, I'm like, shut the fuck up. You're fucking broke. I don't want to hear about this, right? Like, this is real generational wealth.
Yes.
And these people can't, I mean, Thanksgiving is like next week. None of these people are having turkey. I mean, I would be
in the same state, much less the same house.
I'd be concerned that you're getting fucking poisoned. Like, you know what I mean? Allegedly. You know, like, so it's crazy to me.
You may get hit with a turkey leg across the table.
With the turkey leg. But for sure on the planning side, there are ways to structure this so Dad doesn't get royally screwed by his own children.
Yeah.
You know, and to the extent that the kids all need to be around the same table when Dad is doing these strategies to pass down the business, or he shouldn't do it. I mean, they're you know, like this maybe was done too early on. We know that the first group of kids that was, you know, Anne Mary's inherited from Mom. So they had shares of this company, whatever it is, 8-10%, whatever it was, because there's 6 of them, you know, from the time they were children.
Yeah.
So maybe there was an entitlement there of like, this is mine too. Fuck you, Dad. I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows what was going on back then?
Who knows? You know, they say...
and I'm sure nobody, like, look, I don't think any normal business owner... Maybe some of them do. But they have the visionary of like, oh, this is $1 billion idea. But I don't, you know, I'm sure it was a great idea at the time and it was very needed and all those things clearly. But I thought they probably just thought they had this good little business. They're going to pass it on to their 6 kids. Mom's taking care of her kids. I don't know. Who knows what's going on back there?
Yeah. Like,
but they didn't think it was going to be Gremlin style. We're going to reproduce I don't think 12 times over.
I don't think, I swear to you, the first thing that comes to mind, and again, if any of these gazillion children are alive and want to chime in, I feel, as I was reading through all of this, I was like, Leonard, you are the most optimistic person. I mean, like, you were just gifting away ownership, but trying to keep control or authority, right, over the company, which is such a ideal. I don't know. That's such a Pollyanna mindset that
But that's very normal. Look, I mean, representing companies, like, that's a very normal mindset.
Yeah.
Because look, any entrepreneur, us included, we put our blood, sweat, and tears into our businesses. We built it from the ground up. We started with one employee working in your basement or whatever the hell.
Like, listen, both you and I have had partners,
and then
right? And the first time I had a partner, we were truly 50-50, as when you had a partner, right? And
I was very Pollyanna.
And you were
110%.
You actually very much were. And for much longer than I was, you know, like the rose-colored glasses came off of my head real fast when I saw what that was. But, you know, I always said it's not money that hurts me. we split up later for other reasons, and it wasn't even that he was costing me $1 gazillion and whatever.
But that's also very common.
But the sharing of authority is, I guess, what never bothered me either. As long as decisions were rational and whatever, and people are not overstepping their decision making power, right? I always said, truly.
But then it's too late. That's the problem. If you don't have it in writing,
you're
you
right.
don't plan this out.
You're absolutely right.
That's the problem. Like, you can go in, like, it's like getting married without a prenup. If you're both making money and you're both doing your thing, like, just get that document.
I mean,
it's
I'm
like an insurance policy, but I'm just saying it's like anything else. Like, it's when everybody's on the same page, we're all playing in the same sandbox. It's fine. Just put put the words in writing, get the agreement down, because that's what it's there for. It's not, you don't buy car insurance with the intention of ever using it. You don't want to use it. You want to chuck that shit in your glove box and never touch it again, right? When you go to pull it, it's because you got in a wreck, right? So it's the same thing with your companies or your estate, your financial, your family wealth. Like, you want a plan of action, and you know what? You don't want the beneficiaries making the calling the shots. You want them just receiving the gifts that you give them, and they got to play by the rules that you set. That's because right. You're the one that built the empire, and you're the one passing down the wealth to your beneficiaries. You're the company. So whether you're giving the company to a spouse or kids or employees or whoever, they're selling it off to third party, like, you built it. You're the one that had the vision. So, like,
Len really gave away the farm here. Yeah. Like, he really did, and he just thought in a very Pollyanna way that he was still going to be able to have all the authority and control because, I don't know, he thought his kids were going to listen to him, and that shit backfired bad. I mean, bad. Yeah. The factions that split off and everybody's 100%. Against each other, and all of a sudden you have dad with, oldest son, etc., et al., right? And you have middle children, the middle children faction. Now that you've pointed that out to me, you're absolutely right. That I guess are like, I mean, for real, you got the pony. Fuck you, Dr. Sam. I don't know.
You got to go to boarding school. I got screwed in public school. Probably not. He went to Harvard, so he had a very good education as well.
I don't know what drives Joe, right? What internal mechanisms drive any of us? What is the chip on each one's shoulder that makes us do the things that we do? That makes us work 7 days a week and 18 hours a day.
That's
right?
her, not me.
Okay, well, whatever. I don't know. I've never seen a therapist. Maybe they could point it out to me what the problem is.
Leslie at trustcounsel.com.
Leslie at Trust Counsel. If you think I should see a therapist, no. What? Oh my God.
Imagine. The emails that are going to come in next week.
The emails that are going to come through is just going to be fantastic.
I feel like I should be copied on all these emails.
Fantastic. The last thing my clients want, because of ego or otherwise, is to be like, all of my money or whatever it is wrapped up in these structures that I don't have access to, at least not on paper, and I'm not asking my fucking kids for money, right? Like, this was my company, and I know we got to do all this for tax purposes, but I'll be damned if I got to ask little Joey, like, I'm his dad, how to even get my money, right? So there's a lot of that I feel happens. So when I think back to this whole story, and I'm like, Len, you just gave away the farm without any, like, guardrails, anything, any assurances, any safeguards, anything. Like, God bless you, Len, but I don't know.
He had good intentions, but apparently not.
I mean, Len, you were too busy marrying 6 women, bro. You were too busy with the women or something. I don't know what's happening.
It's a tough one.
It is a tough one. It is a tough one. So I guess, if we're taking things away from this episode, a business owner should really continue thinking through what their role in the business is going to be.
Yep.
When we gift
put it
away,
in writing.
No, for sure, you're putting it in writing,
please,
and what that's going to look like, and what they expect from each child, what their role is going to be in the business, how much control they have. If they would have no shares, if these kids would have just been, manager of this, CEO of that, chairman of whatever, but had no ownership in this company, everybody's going to learn how to act a little bit better than they've been acting.
Well, because they want to inherit.
Right.
So you got to be on your
because we all know what the assignment is here, right, guys? Like, you don't want to be cut out of the will. He's got 6 wives. I mean, like, Keep fucking around.
It's not even a baker's dozen. It's more than, how many kids does this guy have? Like 14?
14.
Jesus.
11 that are relevant for our story. 2 that came
kids.
from other wives. And then 1 that he had with some lady he married for a day, apparently, allegedly. I was like, this is crazy.
It's like a drive-through wedding.
I mean, we can't even find like a man in Miami, period, that we want to spend any time with. And this guy married 6 times. I don't understand.
Leonard's got game, man.
And Leonard's got game.
He's got game. Teeth, job. Don't live with your mother.
Barely a job. Barely a
Well,
job.
yeah, he built an empire.
And then his
He
pension
built an
got cut
empire
off.
and it got taken away.
I don't know. You know, wife number 5 and 6 didn't get the best of Leonard. Yeah, I don't know.
But they loved him for who he was.
That's so cute. That is so cute. I love that.
Yeah.
I do love that.
I believe in the good of people.
So it's definitely lesson 1, right? Like you have to think through what this family business is going to look like after you start giving away the farm. After you start, you know, whether it's for tax purposes or otherwise.
And it's not like even just the family dynamic component of this. Like, again, not a psychologist, but man, you're just like, what are you doing to your kids too? Like the power, the wealth. You have to think about how, you know, it's kind of interesting because I think of something like this, and this is why we advise people when they win the lottery to not tell anybody. Just call your lawyer, like wear the freaking whatever Batman mask to go get the check, and like keep that shit on the DL because
you do a trust, you get a trustee,
exactly, because
and they go collect the money.
This just destroys, like it's just poison for your family, and it's completely avoidable. It clearly is not what I think. I mean, after hearing this, you know, timeline situation, but what Leonard wanted or expected, how this would like mature and kind of morph into his empire, but he clearly didn't want his family being torn apart like this.
No.
Sounds like he had a big heart and he was a big good dude, but maybe not. I don't know. Based on your synopsis.
Yeah, based on what we can find.
Yeah, but it just sucks because it's again, you know, there are ways to set these things up. Not only the companies and the duties of and the roles that people play, even if your kids. If you don't follow Kristina's advice and you hire your kids and they come into your company and all the things, like just setting the ground rules for what each family member is going to play and how they overlap and how they interact. Look, I've worked for family-owned businesses and they're pretty badass family-owned businesses actually.
Yeah.
I've worked with them throughout the years and like but it's not easy, and it's again, it just adds a dynamic to your family relationship that just isn't common.
And it's very unique. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very unique. And, you know, a lot of times when people are coming to us for like these kind of restructures, right? One of the biggest things I'm always concerned about is for the people that aren't working, like we talked about when we discussed the Lakers, for the people that aren't working in the organization, in the business.
They're not in the mix.
We are not giving them shares if we can, you know, help it. And if we have to give them shares because there's not enough assets in the rest of the estate to plan for them to make things, you know, quasi-equal. And you know, equal and equitable are 2 different things, guys. Then we need to make sure that they have non-voting stock, that they are not going to cause chaos, that they are not people that can be rallied on one side or another. They just need to be silent investors.
That's what I was about to say. Like in the real world, these are called silent investors, silent partners. They're in the back, they're collecting checks, but they're not calling the shots from their couch. With no education, with no inside knowledge of what's going on in the company. They're not acting necessarily in what's the best interest of the company. They're acting their own best interests. Like, it's just better if they just, dude, go shopping, go on your boat, have a nice time, collect your check, and be done.
You got this many shares. If I can get you on my side, then I have majority or whatever, and I can do X and Y. Like, no, if they're not in the company and they don't know anything about the company, we're going to try as hard as we can, having a very comprehensive, you know, understanding of all of the assets in the estate. What can we give to those people that have nothing to do with the company so that they're happy? Dad loved them, mom loved them, and gave them an equal part of the estate, whatever, right? Like, or if we do have to give them a portion of the company, because like we know with our entrepreneurial families, the company is one of the biggest assets of the family, right?
100%.
It's not that they have separate, you know, shares of Microsoft that make up another $1 billion over there. And like, no, that's not usually the case. The company is the biggest asset. So yes, we are going to end up giving them some part of the company so they are able to be passive investors and collect some money and get quarterly distributions or whatever it is and live comfortably so they don't feel like they didn't get shit and the kids that worked in the company got everything. To the extent that dad and mom want, right? I mean, that's that goes without saying. We're all assuming here that dad and want to leave equal
wanted
whatever.
to pass it on to the next
really
generation.
wants to pass it up to all of them. So there's just so many moving parts and so much complexity to the planning for these types of businesses that, I mean, I've truly never seen anything like this. I have never represented, by the time they get to me,
this is
maybe everybody's still in the best behavior because when they're coming to me, dad hasn't given it away yet, right? So everybody's still, respectful to dad and loves their brothers and sisters and show up to Thanksgiving. I have never had, nobody would be coming to a planning attorney. They would be coming to my litigation department apparently, but nobody would have come to me when I was operating as people's individual lawyer for this shit show. I mean, I would be there from the inception going,
like, hey, we're going to prevent this. This is nuts.
Yeah. What do you mean you want to give away everything? No, we're not doing that. Like, that's crazy talk. You know, like, do you want to beg little Joe and Mary and Susan for your retirement money? No, you don't, right? Like, this is your company that you started, that you worked hard for. And as soon as that's made, I mean, there's lots of quotes of poor Len saying, like, his biggest mistake was giving this away. Right?
Yeah,
like 100%. He didn't,
and it's something you can't take
happen.
back. That's what I'm saying, guys. Like, if you're a business owner or you're an investor and you're starting to scale, like, please don't cut corners. Like, because it's that moment where you're doing that shit at the beginning. You're like, look at this guy. He's built an empire, and it just got this, like, just his family tore it apart. Like, I mean, it's still there. It's actually still viable, but all the shit show that's gone on through decades, and like, this family they're not holding hands, like, chilling at the summer barbecue, So
no.
Just think of your family. Think of what your legacy is. I get we all need to make money and we need to watch our costs and watch our expenses and all those things, but you got to have a little bit of like foresight too, to know where your company is going to go or what your best intention is, and plan for the long term, not just the short term, right? That's why estate planning is super important. This is not an option. When you're a business owner, if you're above the age of 18 and a pulse, whether you have kids or you don't, I don't give a shit what you own. Like, you should have an estate plan package. You should have a trust set up. You should have basics. You can always change them. You can always upgrade them, just like car insurance. You buy it with the intention of not using it, but you need to have it in place.
But you will use it one day.
Yes. And it avoids shit like this. And the same for your company. You need to have strong documents, foundation documents in place, because, again, you don't know what the future is going to hold. You could explode and be the next best thing, right? And if you're not ready for it, then you have this whole shit show dynamic on your hands. And, I'm too busy. I'll get to that shit later. I'll change it later. I'll fix it later. And then it's too late, right? Because then you're surrounded by people that are just yes men, or they're just pilfering you. I don't know. But, like, all of this can be avoided just by basic planning at the beginning. Make your business, make your family a priority. Don't treat it like a side hustle. Even if you're going to get married 6 times, treat every single one like it's important. Like, it's an important relationship, and you don't want this left up to the courts or to how a kid interprets, like,
multiple courts,
like, crazy.
Apparently,
it's crazy.
Years and years and years of litigation, and then bankruptcy,
and how many hundreds of thousands of dollars were spent on lawyers and court costs.
Millions of dollars were spent on lawyers. Millions of dollars were spent on lawyers.
I was discounting it back to the 60s.
Oh, no, I mean, like,
probably still millions.
Like, what? Hundreds of thousands were just spent on that bankruptcy and lawyer fees.
Yeah, for
like,
sure. But I mean, goodness. It's just crazy.
Chapter 11s are complicated AF.
Basics, guys.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's a beautiful note to end on, because we're probably over time at the moment. and we've touched on all the important things. And I love how you just broke that down. And I feel like it really comes from a place of you knowing, because you represent these types of people every day. Again, by the time...
Not on this level, but I've seen shit go down.
By the time they get to me...
And so have you.
I have, but not to this extent, and not on the planning side, right? We see this in the litigation department of how things spiral, usually after people, mom and dad, die, where everybody is suing everybody, and there's corporate issues, and the corporate governance and the documentation does not match the estate plan, and maybe it did at one point, but then they never called their estate planning attorney back, or they never updated the whatever it is, right? So by the time people get to me on the planning side, things are not usually this crazy. It usually goes crazy later. I feel like you actually have a very grassroots, like, oh my God, I see these conflicts play out. I see it as they start. I see if they get quashed or not. You know, I see entrepreneurs as they start to scale, and what stupid things they do when they're small and they get bigger.
Not necessarily even trying to scale. Even if you're a business owner and you're already scaled, maybe you're trying to succession plan, or maybe you're trying to sell your business and you're trying to clean up all the shit in the background, like what's going on back there, right? You gotta clean up all that shit so that the valuation of your company is strong. You know, if you're succession planning, you want a clean succession plan. You want it to pass to the next generation. You don't want the brothers and sisters beating the shit out of each other, trying to figure out who's going to do what. Like, you can determine all of those things. And look, they have the option, right? This isn't, you know, like, you have the decision. Do you want to be involved in the business or not? And if so, great. If not, great. You go down your paths and you have a nice day, and I'll see you on the weekend. We'll have a nice time. And you can have that, or you can have this fucking nightmare. Like,
it really, wow. When I was first told that I should look into this, you know, family business, and I was like, oh, is there a estate planning angle? Somebody died and, like, you know, shit erupted, the way obviously every other episode on this podcast is usually post-death issues. They were like, no, it wasn't really after death. It was like a continuation the whole life. And I was like, what? You know, and I had never heard about this. So as I started to research, I was like, oh my God. I just went from like, oh my God, number one, to oh my God. Like this just got worse and worse.
It's like a pancake.
Like, oh my, and there's tons of complexity here, which is fascinating to research. If anybody's really interested, I can send you all of the stuff that we put together just to dissect it for this 1 hour podcast. But really, really great lessons that come from just seeing all of this play out and what not to do.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Wilson. I hope all of you had as much fun today as we had on Having Fun with Death and Taxes, talking about the U-Haul family business. And remember, whether you own billion-dollar business like U-Haul, whether you're a celebrity or not, you must plan ahead with yourself, your family, your business, your assets, everything. And don't forget to follow us on the Tickety Talks and the LinkedIn and the Facebook and all the things. We will, of course, link all of your information.
I appreciate that.
In the caption, you can find Kristina Wilson here in Miami, corporate and business lawyer. All her information will be below.
Also licensed in New York, DC, and Texas.
Also licensed like everywhere, because it's become like
spreading like a virus.
Yeah, it's
I
like
just
her
apply for bar exams
to become barred everywhere.
Bar admissions.
And we will see you next time on another episode of Having Fun with Death and Taxes, and apparently just family business.
Woohoo!